The opposing 4-point hesitation roll. This video covers the opposing 4-point hesitation roll from the number 5 lead solo perspective. This one's another crowd pleaser. The maneuver itself in the box is fairly straightforward, but getting the timing right for the setup will take practice. As always, your job as number 5 is to match number 6's timings and be on profile once you hit the box. If you do that, this maneuver looks awesome. Briefing. The 4-point hesitation roll follows the line abreast loop and begins as number 5 is detached from the diamond stinger position and makes a 180-degree turn to reposition for the ingress. Once number 5 is pointed towards the show box, it's a standard beam setup, with number 5 trying to match number 6's timings and airspeeds. At about 0.5 nautical miles from center point, both pilots will initiate simultaneous 90-degree rolls to the knife edge towards each other, then immediately another 90-degree roll inverted, crossing center point abeam and co-altitude. After the hit, each pilot will continue the roll 90 degrees to the knife edge and then wings level before performing a standard clear in front of the crowd. The objective is to break a standard aileron roll into 4 equal parts to show off the precision maneuvering capabilities of the F-18C Hornet. The 4-point is a flashy maneuver that's not too difficult on your own, but has complexity and danger when flying opposed. Let's dive in. Walk through. Welcome back to the cockpit of the F-18C Hornet. Last we spoke, we had cleared from the sneak to vertical rolls, and we were behind crowd right, heading towards the diamond to reform for the line abreast loop. This maneuver, the 4-point, occurs immediately following the line abreast loop, and since we do not have a diamond in our formation, we will not be covering the line abreast loop in these tutorials. Immediately following the line abreast loop, Boss will call for a formation change to Diamond Stinger, which means you'll be tucked underneath number 1 and number 4 as number 5, the Stinger, to the Diamond formation. At 3 miles, Boss will detach you, at which point you're going to push the stick full forward until you reach level, then make a 90-degree right turn and pull to the in front of the crowd heading crowd left, which will be 095 here at Kobuleti. At which point, you wait until 4 miles, and then you begin your 270-degree turn back towards center point. As soon as you cross the crowd left heading of 064, you make your let me know when you're abeam call to 6. At which point, 6 will say abeam, and then you will say let me know when you're ready to take your mark, and he will say go ahead and take it. At which point, you will say stand by, mark it, and come in for the 4-point. We'll talk more about the regime you want to hit once that happens. So, let's unpause and see how we do. Climbing at about 3 miles is when Boss will detach us, so he'll smoke off. Chariot detach. Chariot detach, Boss. Pulling to 95, rolling out. Keeping the speed up because it's going to be a hard turn, 4 miles mark. Let me know when you're abeam. Abeam. Let me know when you're ready to take your mark. Go ahead and take it. Stand by, mark it. Coming around the corner, pulling real hard, and Bertoleb tends to be a little late, so I'm going to keep my speed low coming in. And he will say 4 miles, mark. So he called 4 miles mark. I'm about 0.2 ahead, which means I've got some speed to bleed off, hence why my airspeed is down below 400. At this point, we're going to be making our normal maneuver call. So it's going to be chariots in for the right 4-point, because we are lined up crowd left, which means that in order to be close to crowd compared to Bertoleb, we need to be on the right of this maneuver. So we will call chariots in right 4-point, and then number 6 will call their call sign. Leb's in right 4-point. at which point we are descending to our normal contract altitude of 200 feet at 400 knots to enter in for the 4-point. So let's see how we do here. Coming in. 3 miles mark, 400. At which point, slowing us down a little bit. We're looking to hit 200 feet. We're not quite there yet. 500 feet, 2 miles mark, 400. We're on time, evening out a little bit here, getting ready to set up. At this point, he's given us the 2-mile mark call, at which point we're going to call smoke on at about 1 mile. I usually call it about 1.2, 1.1 because the calls that come after that get pretty quick. So let's talk about what's going to happen when we enter the show box. We call smoke on at 1.2 to 1.1 miles. At which point, we'll look for Brother Leb out of our canopy. We can already see him here. He's a tiny little dot in that diamond. Once we see him, we will wait for him to call contact. We will call contact, and then we will say smoke off. At which point, we will await 0.5 miles. At which point, we will call ready, hit it, and we will execute the 4-point maneuver. We'll talk a little bit more about what the 4-point maneuver is going to look like when we get there. But let's keep rolling. Smoke on. Connect, smoke off. Ready, hit it! Alright, so we've called hit it. What's going to happen next? So next we are going to yug. We've talked about the yug before, so we're going to yug up to about 2.5 degrees. And then comes the complicated part of the 4-point. The 4-point hesitation roll is a series of 4 90-degree rolls with a pause in between each one of them. So in order to accomplish this, we have to do a little bit of finagling to make sure that the jet is flying a good profile. So we do the yug to give ourselves some nose-up authority to make sure we don't fall out of the sky as we're accomplishing this maneuver. At which point, we'll immediately do a left 90-degree bank to knife edge. Now you may be asking, why are we facing towards Brother Leb in this scenario? This is because at every point during this high dynamic acrobatic maneuver, we need to be able to see Brother Leb. We need to be able to see whether or not we are going to conflict with him because of our flight paths, or whether or not he is going to conflict with us because of his flight path. So rolling towards each other gives both pilots the best opportunity to make sure to avoid any sort of head-on collision based upon the visual aspect of seeing the other jet in the sky. This can also be achieved via horizontal separation, and we are doing some of that here, but we've learned to bring the maneuver closer and closer in as we've gotten more practice, and that's what the real Blues do as well. So it's got to be a left 90-degree roll to the knife edge, at which point it's going to be a full boot of right rudder. Then we pause very briefly, at which point it's another left 90-degree roll to inverted with some significant push or drive in the stick. At this point, the drive for me in the F-18C Hornet is full drive. It's full forward stick to try and keep the jet's nose from dropping below the horizon line. And once we're inverted, we're going to be awaiting the merge with Brother Leb. So we merge inverted, and then we're going to execute 2 more 90-degree lefts with hesitations in between to exit the maneuver. So we'll talk through those once we get there. But let's see how we do here. So we've called ready, hit it. Pull, left, pause, left. And now we are inverted. There's Brother Leb. So we're doing pretty good. We're a little bit offline here, but that's okay. Brother Leb looks in a good position. We're not going to conflict. So we're going to await the merge with each other, and then we are going to do another sequence of left 90-degree rolls to roll out of this. Now, just like we did with the previous 90-degree rolls, the first 90-degree left to the right knife edge is going to require a boot of left rudder once we are at the knife edge, because that left rudder will keep us in the sky and keep the nose from dropping any more. At which point, we hesitate for the half second, and then we roll out level and make sure to make any sort of corrections that are needed to get us back on show line and to get us back level. As you will see, sometimes that results in a little bit of instability in the aircraft, which is unfortunate, but comes with the nature of pitching in rudder during acrobatic maneuvers. This is where the benefits of the FCS come into play, because it would be a real challenge to do this particular maneuver with the amount of rudder that we have to put in the F-18 in a trim jet or warbird. I know that warbirds do the 4-point, but they do it very differently and with quite a bit more vertical pitch than we do in the F-18C Hornet. So let's unpause and see how we do here. Merge, roll, left rudder, roll, level. Now, at this point, Brother Leb's going to call clear, at which point we're going to do our standard behind the crowd clear, which will be a left roll to the 45, a pull to 215, and then pulling up to 30 degrees nose high, and then our sequences of rolls away from the crowd. So let's see how we do here. He calls clear, roll, pull, stand by, roll, stand by, roll, stand by, roll. Brother Leb's clear, roll. Trade's clear, and clearing in front of the crowd for the vertical pitch. 2.2 mark. At which point we are clearing in front of the crowd for the vertical pitch maneuver. And that, my friends, is the 4-point. It's a very challenging maneuver. It's going to take a lot of practice, and it's going to feel real unnatural for a while. But do a lot of practice on your own to get those hesitations timed right, because you're not really going to know how it feels like until you start watching it from the ground. And it really is a feel thing. So make sure to watch those replays and get those maneuvers synced up via either a TAC view or replays via VR, or just a decent camera angle to make sure that your rolls and your pulls and all of the hesitations are being done in sync with one another, because while it's hard to see it on a virtual screen, it's really easy to notice when 5 and 6 are not in sync when you're standing on the crowd line. And that's a walkthrough of the 4-point hesitation roll from the number 5 lead solo perspective. Now it's time for a demo from that same show we've been using in Kobuleti. Note how far behind Brother Leb I am on the ingress, as well as the concessions I ask him to make to set up the hit. These are decisions you'll have to make as the flight lead, so it's good to get an example of it now.
Tray detach. Trace attach, boss. Let me know when you're a beam.
Leb is a beam.
Let me know when you're ready to take your mark.
Take it.
Stand by, mark it.
4 miles, mark 400.
Trade's in for the right 4-point.
Leb's in right 4-point. 3 miles, mark 400.
Half mile behind, give me a little room.
Leb. 2 miles, mark 375. 1.5, mark 360.
Go. Smoke
Left.
on. Contact.
Contact.
Smoke off. Ready, hit it.
Clear.
Trace clear. Stand by, roll, and pull. Stand by, roll. Stand by, roll. Stand by, roll. Trace clear. Roll. Trace clear, and clearing in front of the crowd for the opposing vertical pitch 2.2 mark state 6.5.
Match. State 6.6. 3 miles.
And that's how the Legacy Blue Solos perform the opposing 4-point hesitation roll. If you enjoyed this video, consider hitting that like button and subscribing to our channel, where you can find full side-by-side show sequences and debriefs. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the flight line.